Yo guys, it is Sacred Saiyan here, welcoming you back for another video. Before we get into this video, I would like to thank you all so much for the support, and if you end up liking the video, please consider subscribing. It's free and you can always change your mind. Today we are doing What If Goku was sent to Supreme Kai's world as a Christmas special, because of multiple reasons. Both Santa and Supreme Kai have magic. Both the Supreme Kai and Santa/elves create things, and the Kais have white hair like Santa. Since this is a Christmas special, this video will need to hit 200 likes for me to do another part. This is only for this series to continue, because it is a Christmas special after all. With all that being said, let's get into What If Goku was sent to Supreme Kai's world. Lag is going to be narrating the first half of this video, and then I will narrate the second. Make sure you check out his channel in the description of the video, and yeah, Lag can take over now.
Hey guys, Lag here. Thank you Sacred for letting me come and narrate this on your channel. If anyone here doesn't know me, I'm Lag, or Lag's What Ifs. You can go check out my channel later after you watch this video. Today, as Sacred's saying, we'll be doing What If Goku landed on Supreme Kai's planet, or the sacred world of the Kais. So, let's get started. So, you may be wondering, how does Goku somehow get to the planet of the Kais? It's not normally accessible like any ordinary planet, but for the sake of this what if, we will say that Goku's pod still is set for Earth. And on its way there, the pod gets thrown off course and somehow ends up crashing into the world of the Kais. The Supreme Kai hears this and flies over to the crater where the pod is rested in. He then ends up opening the pod and finds Goku. The Supreme Kai is confused why a Saiyan baby is on the planet, so he tries to look for planet Vegeta using his orb. But he realizes what happened. The planet was destroyed and he assumes it was Frieza's doing. The Supreme Kai looks down at Goku and gets an idea. The first thing he does goes into Goku's mind, finding out his name, Kakarot. So that's what he will be called. But also, he can train out to fight battles that the Supreme Kai can't. It will indeed take a lot of time, but since he is the last of his race, or the Saiyan race, the Supreme Kai will be patient, and he will train Kakarot until he even surpasses himself in power. We are now talking a time skip around the time where the Saiyan saga is in canon. Every single day, Goku tries to lift the Z-Sword, but to no prevail. However, Goku has learnt all the Supreme Kai's techniques and grew in power immensely. I would say at the point he was pushed into Super Saiyan, with the Supreme Kai being the catalyst to do so. And since the Kais are all about being calm and having patience, Goku inevitably masters Super Saiyan by remaining in the form consistently until he does so. The Supreme Kai is amazed in Kakarot's power, and he wants to test out his power, not against himself, but maybe a certain Frost Demon. He tells Kakarot that the Supreme Kai, they create life, and at this point, Kakarot is a Supreme Kai in training, so the same rules apply. However, Frieza and King Cold continue to conquer and destroy the planets without reason. The Supreme Kai tells Kakarot his new mission is to find the Frost Demons and take them down. Kakarot asks why the Supreme Kai doesn't do it himself, but he says he wants to test Kakarot's power. They also are underpaid in his grade. Kakarot locates the power of King Cold and Frieza, and then uses his Kakai to teleport towards them. Kakarot appears in the throne room where he stares down King Cold and Frieza.
Thank you Lag, but I will take it from here. Frieza and King Cold are shocked as what looks to be a Saiyan has just appeared out of nowhere. Before they can ask who he is, Kakarot Kaikai's in front of Frieza and kicks him in the jaw, sending him flying out of the building. King Cold then rushes at Kakarot, and they seem to be close in power, but Kakarot does have a slight edge. Kakarot is clashing blows with King Cold, but then he senses something coming towards him, and he narrowly dodges a double death slicer from Frieza. Frieza is now in his full power mode, and him and King Cold rush at Kakarot, trying to fight with synergy, but with little efficiency. Kakarot formed a block of Kaioshin surrounding Frieza, and he then paralysed King Cold, to then land a gut punch on him, blowing the wind out of him. Kakarot then removes the Kaioshin around Frieza, as he then appears behind Frieza and he slams him into the ground. It looked like Kakarot is going to win this battle without breaking a sweat, but then he sees both Frieza and King Cold flying into the sky. He sees as they both power up spheres of energy to destroy the planet, and both of their energy spheres fuse, creating an even larger and more powerful one. Kakarot doesn't know what to do. Don't forget that he doesn't know the Kamehameha. He thinks that maybe he could surround the entire planet in Kaioshin, but he isn't strong enough to do that. Then, out of nowhere, Vegeta, Nappa, and Raditz arrive, and they all create their respective beam attacks. Vegeta with a Gallic gun, and Raditz with a double Sundae. They see that a Saiyan is overpowering Frieza and King Cold, and they want to end those tyrants once and for all. Kakarot looks at Vegeta, and he sees the stance he is in, a former Gallic gun. Kakarot doesn't know if this will work or not, but he begins to replicate the stance Vegeta is in, and he begins to form his own Gallic gun. All the beams fire, and the spheres of energy is sent hurtling towards them. Even though Goku was stronger than King Cold and Frieza separately, he isn't stronger than them combined. So, the Saiyan's combined beam attack begins to get overpowered. Kakarot didn't think he would have to use this, but he has no other choice. Kakarot quickly transforms into a Super Saiyan Grade 4, and the Saiyan's beam instantly goes straight through the sphere of energy and completely erases King Cold and Frieza. Kakarot thanks Vegeta, Raditz, and Nappa for their help, and all of them are just looking at Kakarot in astonishment. Kakarot was stronger than King Cold and Frieza in his base form, but he's also a Super Saiyan. Even more surprising, Raditz realises that it is Kakarot, his brother, and Kakarot reads his mind, seeing that he is telling the truth. Kakarot telepathically asks their Supreme Kai if they can come and train on his world, and he reluctantly agrees. The only reason he agrees to this is because they could increase the growth of Kakarot, and there would be more people to fight Majin Buu when he eventually will re-emerge. As you saw in the last video, the Supreme Kai allowed the other Saiyans to train on his world. Only temporarily, however, since the Supreme Kai understandably doesn't trust the Saiyans, and there shouldn't be any mortals on his world regardless. The exception for that obviously being Goku. After the Saiyans train with the Supreme Kai, he looks through the universe to find any remaining Saiyans, and he finds Tarball, Vegeta's brother, so he Kais them to him so they can live in peace with a fellow Saiyan. Kakarot did get a bit stronger from this training with the Saiyans, and after this training, with all of his power while in Super Saiyan Grade 4, he lifts the Z Sword. After a couple of days of training with the Z Sword, he can swing it around in his base form with ease. Kakarot wants to test out the durability of the Z-Sword, and the Supreme Kai does agree with this. However, he thinks Kakarot should do a little more training before they do. Kakarot asks the Supreme Kai what he means, and he asks Kakarot if he remembers him mentioning King Kai. Kakarot says he does, but he doesn't know what that has to do with him getting stronger. The Supreme Kai grabs Kakarot's shoulder and Kais him to King Kai. He greets King Kai, and he tells him that this is the apprentice Kai, Kakarot. The Supreme Kai then tells King Kai that he wants Kakarot to train under him for a couple of months. The reason for this being, the Supreme Kai suspects that Kakarot will need to be extremely powerful to hit something with the Z-Sword. He's only swung it around, not swung it at something. The Supreme Kai knows that King Kai has some powerful techniques, and he wants Goku to learn them all. King Kai agrees to teach Kakarot all his techniques, and the Supreme Kai thanks him. He then tells Kakarot to meet him back on the world of the Kais as soon as he has learned everything he needs to learn. For the next couple of months, Kakarot trains under the King Kai and learns his most powerful techniques, the Spirit Bomb and the Kaioken. I would also say that during this time of intense training, he would finally achieve Super Saiyan 2. It was on the verge of unlocking it before, but with this intense training, he would finally achieve the transformation. He would then master Super Saiyan 2 transformation like he did with regular Super Saiyan, and he would swiftly master the lower levels of Kaioken as to where he feels no strain when using them whatsoever. Kakarot Kais and appears next to the Supreme Kai. The Supreme Kai greets him and asks if it is time they test the durability of the Z-Sword. And Kakarot says yes. However, he wants to first test which one of them is stronger. The Supreme Kai says that Kakarot must have got significantly more powerful if he thinks he can best him in a battle. Kakarot smirks, saying that he got far stronger than the Supreme Kai thinks. Kakarot transforms into a Super Saiyan 2, and the Supreme Kai is astonished at his power. To be honest, the Supreme Kai already knew Kakarot was stronger than him as soon as he lifted the Z-Sword. However, he does want to test Kakarot's newfound power. Their battle begins with both Kakarot and the Supreme Kai teleporting around the battlefield. They keep clashing, but it is obvious to the Supreme Kai that Kakarot is heavily suppressed. The Supreme Kai creates multiple blocks of Kochin in front of Kakarot, thinking it will stop him or at least slow him down, but Kakarot flies straight through all of the Kochin and lands an uppercut on the Supreme Kai. The Supreme Kai is sent flying into a mountain, and he gives up. Kakarot is easily overpowering him, and he is heavily suppressed. Kakarot thanks the Supreme Kai, and he says it is now time that he tests the durability of the Z-Sword. Kakarot, still in Super Saiyan 2, grabs the Z-Sword. The Supreme Kai creates a block of Kochin and throws it at Kakarot, and then, when Kakarot slices at the block of Kochin, the sword snaps, and the Elder Kai appears. The Elder Kai thanks Kakarot for setting him free, and he has a way to repay him that he is certain Kakarot would like. The Elder Kai has been freed from the Z-Sword, and in return, he unlocks Kakarot's dormant potential. This makes Kakarot around the power of Ultimate Gohan from the Buu Saga. This being because he's a bit stronger than Gohan was before he got his potential unlocked in canon. Kakarot trains in this form as if it is his base form for the years until Bobbidi tries to revive Majin Buu. This time, he isn't tried to be resurrected on Earth, since in this timeline, everything went wrong on Earth without Kakarot, meaning every strong person is dead, and the weak are all servants. Instead, Bobbidi tries to find a planet with a higher amount of power to take from, which I believe in this situation could end up being a place like Namek. The Supreme Kai would alert Kakarot on the urgency of the situation, and that he should maybe call upon those other Saiyans. Kakarot doesn't think he will need their help, but he decides that it is better to have a backup plan, just in case, so he senses the energy of Vegeta, and he Kais to him. Kakarot arrives, and he sees Vegeta, Raditz, and Nappa, all in Super Saiyan, fighting against one another. They are all shocked as they see him appear, and they greet him. Kakarot tells them that Majin Buu is nearly awoken, and he will need their help. They agree to help, and they ask where they are heading. Kakarot says Namek, and that strikes a memory in Vegeta. He remembers that he did once hear a legend about wish-granting orbs on Namek. You may wonder how Vegeta knows about this. However, him along with other people in the Frieza Force, including Frieza himself, did hear legends of the existence of the Dragon Balls. However, they were only found out those legends were true after visiting Earth. Kakarot Kais them all to Namek, and he goes to the strongest power he can sense. He tells the other Saiyans to look for anyone with an M on their head, and to follow them to Buu. Kakarot meets Nail, and Nail informs him about some of the Namekians turning against them, and giving their energy to a strange little yellow bug. He then takes Kakarot inside a building, and he meets the Grand Elder Guru. The Guru reads his mind, and sees he is here to help, so he unlocks Kakarot's potential. This gives another boost to his power, making him even stronger than before. Kakarot then senses the Saiyan's power depleting, so he Kais to them, and he sees them facing Majin Buu. Kakarot kicks Buu in the face, sending him flying. He tells the Saiyans to find the yellow bug called Bobbidi, and to kill him. He will handle Buu himself. Kakarot tries to face Buu in his base form, and he seems to be not far behind in terms of power. However, he doesn't have anything to counter Buu's regeneration. Kakarot transforms into his ultimate form, and he rushes at Buu, absolutely demolishing him. When Kakarot first got this transformation, it put him at a power of Ultimate Gohan from the Buu Saga. He's had years of training in the transformation, and when Gohan did nowhere near as much training in the form, he got to Super Saiyan Blue level. Kakarot then also got his potential unlocked for a second time by Grand Elder Guru after this training as well, making him even stronger. At a bare minimum, I would put his power level of a Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken times 10 Goku from the Tournament of Power. Maybe even times 20, but we will put him at times 10 for now. Kakarot demolishes Boo, and with a Gallic gun, he completely erases Boo. The Saiyans then appear, and they inform Kakarot that they had killed Bobbidi, and Kakarot thanks them. He then Kaikais them back to the planet they were staying on, and then Kaikais back to the Supreme Kai. The Supreme Kai congratulates Kakarot, and Elder Kai jokes that with some more training, he may even be able to take on Lord Beerus. Kakarot thanks him, and he says that he still has a lot of training ahead of him. Beerus finally awakes from his sleep after having a dream of a Super Saiyan God. He asks Whis if there is any Saiyan which matches this description, and Whis says that surprisingly there is. There is a Saiyan training under the Supreme Kai who defeated Frieza, King Cold, and even Majin Buu. Beerus is shocked and also intrigued about this Saiyan, and he tells Whis to bring him to the Saiyan at once. Whis does so, and they begin to travel to the world of the Kais. Kakarot is training, and he then sees the Elder Kai looking panicked. He asks the Elder Kai what is wrong, and he says that Beerus is awoken, and he is on his way here. Kakarot is unsure as to why this is an issue, but the Elder Kai says that he may want to fight Kakarot, and if Kakarot doesn't give him a good fight, he could get erased on the spot. This does make Kakarot a bit nervous, but he says that he is sure he hasn't come to fight him. It is most likely to catch up with the Supreme Kai on what has been going on in the universe while he's been asleep. Elder Kai is about to tell Kakarot to hide just in case, but then Beerus and Whis arrive. Whis greets the Supreme Kai, and Beerus looks annoyed when he sees that Elder Kai is no longer in the Z-Sword. He ignores this, however, and he sets his attention onto Kakarot. He asks Kakarot if he is a Super Saiyan God, but Kakarot says that he doesn't think so. He knows of Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan 2, and he is a Supreme Kai in training. However, he doesn't think he's a Super Saiyan God. This does slightly irritate Beerus, however. He mainly came for a fight, Super Saiyan God or not. Beerus tells Kakarot that he wants a fight, and if he refuses, then he will be erased on the spot. Kakarot nervously accepts this, and their battle begins, with Kakarot first rushing at Beerus in his base form, but with little success, he powers up into a Super Saiyan. Beerus is dodging every attack, so Kakarot powers up even more, transforming into a Super Saiyan 2. Beerus is surprised at Kakarot's power, but is still unimpressed thus far, and he smacks Kakarot away. He tells Kakarot to stop holding back. He can sense his body is capable of more, so Kakarot powers up into the ultimate form. Kakarot is putting up a way better fight than he did in canon. Don't forget, this Kakarot is at a minimum between a Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken times 10 to Kaioken times 20 Goku from the Tournament of Power. Beerus is amazed at Kakarot's power, and he doesn't even care that he isn't a Super Saiyan God. Kakarot and Beerus begin to clash fists. These would send shockwaves throughout the universe, however, Kakarot is using his training to contain those shockwaves. Beerus is having to exert more power, and Kakarot's Saiyan blood is boiling. He was taught to keep himself tame, but he can't hold back his excitement for this battle any longer. Kakarot is using the techniques he learned from Supreme Kai, forming blocks of Kaioshin, using the Kai to teleport around Beerus, and he even heals himself when he gets hurt, giving him minor Zenkais. The fight drags on, and he even considers trying to use the Kaioken on top of the ultimate form. However, before he can, Beerus creates a giant sphere of destruction. Kakarot powers up a Supreme Gallic Gun, Supreme for Supreme Kai. Kakarot fires a beam, and Beerus throws the Sphere of Destruction. Both attacks collide and begin a struggle. Kakarot's beam does end up dispersing the Sphere of Destruction, however, he has to exert all of his energy to do so, dropping back into his base form and falling into the ground, creating a huge crater. The Supreme Kai quickly runs over to Kakarot and heals him. Beerus flies down and he admits that Kakarot's power was indeed impressive. He tells Kakarot that he will train on his world and he will become his rival. Kakarot is about to deny this, but then he sees the seriousness in Beerus' eyes, and he reluctantly agrees. The Elder Kai is about to scold Beerus about how he can't just steal the Supreme Kai in training like that, but then Beerus grabs Kakarot and Whis takes him back to Beerus' world. Beerus doesn't want to deal with that old kook. Supreme Kai is upset that Beerus took Kakarot like that, because at this point, Kakarot is like a son to him. But he hopes that after Kakarot does some training with Beerus and Whis, he will return. Resurrection F never takes place because nobody, apart from the Namekians, know that the power of the Dragon Balls is more than just a legend, meaning Frieza never gets revived. Beerus did notice that Saiyans grow faster with a training partner and while fighting, so he decides to spar with Kakarot every once in a while. Kakarot achieves both Super Saiyan God and Super Saiyan Blue, and he is eventually able to stack Ultimate on top of both of them. Ultimate alone made Kakarot at a minimum between a Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken times 10 to Kaioken times 20 Goku from the Tournament of Power. Not only can he now stack this on top of Super Saiyan God and Super Saiyan Blue, but the Ultimate form alone would also be stronger because transformations allow your power to increase higher, thus increasing your potential to hit those heights, making your potential larger, and making the form stronger. So this means Kakarot can stack an even stronger Ultimate form on top of Super Saiyan Blue. Champa eventually shows up looking for the Super Dragon Balls, and Kakarot's Saiyan blood begins to come to the surface once again, and he suggests that they hold a tournament for the Super Dragon Balls. Beerus agrees to this, as he is certain Kakarot will win, and Champa agrees as well. The rules may be a bit different since Kakarot has never been in any tournaments before, but I'm sure Valos or Whis have seen some type of tournament that would be similar to the rules on Earth. Also, Champa wouldn't want to wish for Earth since obviously Beerus doesn't know about Earth either. So whatever he was planning to wish for before he realised Earth's good food, Champa would want that. Kakarot is then tasked to find members for their team, and he instantly Kaikais to Vegeta, Nappa and Raditz. He greets them and he tells them about the tournament, asking if they would like to join. They all agree to do this without needing any convincing whatsoever, as they want to fight strong fighters, so they all grab Kakarot and he Kaikais back to Beerus' world. Unfortunately, they don't get to train in the time chamber for 3 years. However, Kakarot suggests they go into Whis' staff for those 3 days that would be equivalent to 3 years in the time chamber, meaning that the other Saiyans can hopefully access Bucchigiri in his staff. Also, Whis' staff has a similar time dilation to the time chamber, meaning they would get the same amount of time in the time chamber that they would in Whis' staff. The Saiyans agree to this, and so does Whis and Beerus. Kakarot, along with the other Saiyans, then all go into Whis' staff, and they train until 2 hours before the tournament begins. The Saiyans exit the staff, and first take showers. The Saiyans got incredible gains, and Vegeta, Nappa, and Raditz now all have access to Super Saiyan God. Vegeta did access Super Saiyan Blue for a bit, but it is not as reliable as Super Saiyan God for him. The Saiyans not only accessed those forms, but also got insane gains. Think about the gains that Goku and Vegeta got in canon from their 3 days of time chamber training, and times that by 10. Not only are there 4 Saiyans there, making the training way more beneficial and effective, but Whis' staff is a way better place for training to get stronger and boosting your power in general because of the immense amounts of Bucchigiri inside of it. Kakarot thought about stacking Kaioken on top of his ultimate Super Saiyan Blue, however, he then thinks back to his Supreme Kai training. Patience was the key. He mastered Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan 2, and that made those forms both immensely stronger. So, he decides he will do that with Super Saiyan Blue, mastering the form and achieving perfected Super Saiyan Blue like in the manga. He may try to stack the Kaioken on top of this later, however, he realised it would be more beneficial to first master Super Saiyan Blue, as he can already stack the ultimate form on top of that, and the stamina drain is way less than stacking the Kaioken on top of it. Kakarot now has perfected Super Saiyan Blue, and the ability to stack ultimate on top of it. The Saiyans go into the tournament, and most of it is an absolute wash. Raditz is up first, and he beats Botamo after knocking him over, and then throwing him out of the ring. Next up is Frost, and since Raditz hated Frieza looking down upon him, he decides to look down upon Frost, saying he won't even transform to face him. This, however, is a mistake on his end, as this gives Frost the perfect opportunity to hit Raditz with the poison needle, knocking him out. Kakarot realises something is off, and Nappa is sent to fight Frost next. Kakarot told Nappa to stay in his base form, so Frost will try and do what he just did last time. Nappa fights against Frost, and Kakarot sees how Frost always tries to hit the opponent with his wrist. Then, after getting hit by his wrist, the opponent feels dizzy and begins to lose consciousness. This gives Frost the perfect opportunity to use a final attack that sends him out of the ring without question. Kakarot looks at both Raditz and Nappa, and he sees little needle marks on their bodies. Kakarot then calls for a timeout, and he kaikais behind Frost and lifts up his arm, exposing the poison needle. This allows both Raditz and Nappa to be allowed back into the tournament, and Vegeta decimates Frost like in canon. Vegeta teaches Cabba Super Saiyan, and also beats Megetta. He tries to face Hit in Super Saiyan God, but he can't even land a blow. He even briefly transformed into Super Saiyan Blue, but it still has no effect, and Vegeta is knocked out cold, just like in canon. Kakarot enters the ring, and it is now him vs Hit. He first figures out how Hit's timeskip worked while fighting him in base form, and he then transforms into his ultimate form. This alone makes him far stronger than the Kaioken Goku that fought Hit in canon, which means even with Hit repeatedly increasing his timeskip, he isn't able to keep up with Kakarot's speed, and with a Supreme Gallic Gun, even turning into perfected Super Saiyan Blue to look more flashy, he ends the fight and wins the tournament. Champa is about to go to try and shout at Kakarot, but then Kakarot transforms into perfected Super Saiyan Blue and stacks Mystic on top of it. He looks at Champa in the eyes, and Champa gulps. He then backs off, and since Beerus wins the wish from the Super Dragon Balls, he decides to wish for the best food he's ever had in his life. You may think the next arc will be Goku Black, or Kakarot Black, but that isn't going to happen. For one, no mortal has time travelled, which was the main drive for Zamasu. Also, his other main drive, which was Goku using godly power as a mortal, would also not be the case, because just like Zamasu, he is an apprentice Kai. Kakarot isn't trying to mock the gods, but instead he is trying to become one. Zamasu also probably looked into Kakarot further on GodTube, and he saw how he has been raised by the Supreme Kai since birth, so he would be fine with Kakarot. Slightly irritated at best. So, Zamasu never goes through with his plans, but Zeno did still get the idea of the Tournament of Power after seeing the Universe 6 vs Universe 7 tournament. However, he wouldn't get that friendship with Kakarot like he did with Goku, because unlike Goku, Kakarot is very respectful of the gods, and he justly fears Zeno's power. So, the Tournament of Power would eventually happen, and I would say it would take place later, since it was Goku going to Zeno in canon to get it started. However, there is also an argument to say it would happen even earlier than canon, since there is no future Zeno to keep present Zeno company, meaning he will be even more bored and faster, and thus he could decide to create the tournament earlier than canon. For these two reasons, since there are arguments for the tournament starting earlier and later, we will just say the tournament takes place at the same time as it does in canon. As you can probably tell, the Universe 7 team is going to be completely different. Kakarot is obviously on the team, and he gets the likes of Vegeta, Nappa, and Raditz to join, who have all now achieved Super Saiyan Blue, and are about as good with it as Vegeta was in canon in the Tournament of Power. Kakarot then looks into the crystal ball on Supreme Kai's world, and he finds some interesting fighters. One being Broly, who is a Saiyan located on Vampa, and like Universe 6, they get the idea to have all the Namekians merge into one. The Supreme Kai also mentions how Yardratians have very interesting techniques, and obviously the best choice on Yardrat would be Paibara, so he is chosen as well. Also, Paibara says that he can unmerge the Namekians after the tournament, which makes the Namekians feel better about fusing into one person, as it can all be separated after the tournament ends. This makes a fusion of all the Namekians, which we will call the Namekian Saviour to keep it simple, and will be as strong as if the two Universe 6 Namekians combined. And even both of them separately were nearly as strong as an Ultimate Gohan from the Tournament of Power, so if they merged, then they would probably have been a bit stronger than Gohan, if not even stronger, so let's just say that our Namekian Saviour is no pushover. All the Namekians would obviously merge into the strongest Namekian, being Nail, so he is the host for the Namekian Saviour. Kakarot then Kaikais to Vampa, and he meets Broly and Paragus. He tells them that he can take them to a peaceful world with a multitude of food and water if Broly joins their team to protect the universe. They don't really believe Kakarot at first, but since they really want to get off Vampa, they agree to this anyway. This only equates to 7 fighters. They don't even consider reviving either Frieza or King Cold because of how weak they are. Don't forget, they never get revived, so no golden form, and they wouldn't even land a blow on the base form of anyone present on the team. Even Paibara would probably be able to beat them using Spirit Vision or something like that. It doesn't look like anyone else alive is strong, apart from a select few in the Galactic Patrol prison, and some of the fighters think that is their only option to get people from there, but Kakarot has an idea. There isn't anyone else alive strong. They ask what Kakarot is implying, but then he disappears as he Kaikais to King Kai. King Kai is shocked as Kakarot appears right next to him, and Kakarot asks him if there are any strong fighters in Otherworld. King Kai thinks, and the first person he mentions is someone called Paikon. King Kai can't think of anyone else, but then Kakarot remembers something. While looking for people to recruit, the Namekian Saviour mentioned the Super Saiyan God ritual. He would obviously know of this, since he would have the Elder of the time merged into him as well, gaining his knowledge. Kakarot asks where the Saiyans are, and King Kai says they are unfortunately all in hell. Kakarot Kaikais to Whis, and he tells him to go get someone in the other world called Paikon, and to get 2 of the strongest Saiyans from Hell. Whis obliges, and a couple minutes later, he appears alongside Paikon, Bardock, and King Vegeta. Raditz is shocked to see Bardock, and Vegeta is shocked to see his father. Kakarot looks at Bardock, and then he lets out a smirk. So, that's where he's got his hair from. Unfortunately, there is no time to catch up, as they need to perform the Super Saiyan God ritual on the Saiyans. First on Bardock, then on King Vegeta. They're getting ready to do it on Broly as well, but they run out of time. They need to head to the tournament now. They all surround Whis, and he takes them to the tournament of power. We did skip past the exhibition match, so we will quickly go over that. The people in the exhibition match were Kakarot, Vegeta, and Raditz. Raditz was up first, and he easily defeated his opponent, dodging all of his attacks so he doesn't get hit by the poison. Vegeta defeats his opponent with minor difficulty, while in base, and then Kakarot comes against his enemy, which gets stronger every time he is hit. Kakarot wants to test his combatants' abilities and push them to the limit, so he gets his opponent as strong as possible, and he then transforms into the ultimate form, and he shoots a Supreme Gallic gun that knocks out his opponent. Toppo would still try to fight Kakarot, however, as soon as Kakarot would transform into perfected Super Saiyan Blue, Toppo gets absolutely pummeled, and the Grand Priest has to stop the match because Toppo is too injured to continue. Now, onto the actual tournament. The team goes as follows: Kakarot, Vegeta, Nappa, Raditz, Bardock, King Vegeta, the Namekian Saviour, Pikkon, Haibara, and Broly. As you can tell, this team has the potential to far exceed the Universe 17 from canon. However, there is only one way to find out. Kakarot effortlessly defeats the Trio of Danger, along with their entire team, and then everyone sees as they get erased by Zeno. This does raise the stakes even more, as now everyone knows that there isn't the slightest chance of survival unless their team wins. Bardock faces up against Caulifla, and at the same time, King Vegeta faces Cabba. Cabba is interested to see that his master Vegeta has a father which is this powerful, and he thinks this would be a friendly match, but King Vegeta isn't here to make friends. He is here to win, so he ends up knocking out Cabba without hesitation. Bardock and Caulifla are enjoying their fight. Caulifla even pushes herself into Super Saiyan 2 without needing to see Kakarot use it because of how much fun she is having. She has been overpowering Bardock, however, and she nearly knocks him out of the arena, but that is when Kale goes berserk as she thinks Bardock is taking Caulifla away from her. Kakarot senses this happening, and he quickly Kai-Kais next to Bardock and transforms into Ultimate. Kale tries to hit Bardock, but Kakarot catches the punches and then kicks her in the chest. Kakarot then forms a giant block of Cochin around her, like a cage, but then a green light engulfs the block of Cochin as it cracks and then shatters into pieces. Kakarot tells Bardock to move. He will deal with her alone. Bardock nods and he quickly runs to fight some other enemies. Kakarot paralyzes Kale, and he then lands an uppercut on her, sending her flying into a nearby debris. He then powers up a Supreme Gallic gun, and he fires it at Kale. Kale takes the attack head on, and gets pushed into her base form. She is nearly sent out of the arena, but Hit catches her at the last second, keeping her in. We go late into the tournament, and Kakarot decides not to fight Jiren yet, as he knows it will be better to defeat all the weaker fighters first. Kale still achieves her controlled state, and during a fight with Vegeta, they have no other choice than to fuse into Kefla. Kefla then transforms into a Super Saiyan and begins to overpower Vegeta. Beerus then gets the idea to have two people in his team fuse, and he sees the perfect candidates. Beerus shouts to Bardock and King Vegeta to put on the 2 earrings they just threw towards them. They won't be able to keep up with anyone in the arena for much longer, so this is their only option to stay in. Since Bardock and King Vegeta don't know what the earrings actually do, they put them on, and then they fuse into Super Saiyan God Bargito. Bargito then helps Vegeta against Kefla, and they end up pushing Kefla into Super Saiyan 2. Kakarot has just defeated Toppo, and it is only Universe 7, Kefla, and Jiren remaining. Kakarot tells the rest of the team to go help fight Kefla. He will fight Jiren alone. His team reluctantly agrees, but first, Paibara quickly instant transmissions behind Jiren and lands a punch on his back. Jiren decides to not even bother blocking this because of how weak Paibara seems. Kakarot transforms into perfected Super Saiyan Blue, and he rushes at Jiren, catching him off guard by transforming to his second strongest form instantly. However, Jiren quickly regains his footing and begins to overpower Kakarot. He does have to use a decent amount of power to do so, but he still isn't at full power. Jiren uses the Eye Glare attack, but Kakarot does the same. He learned that one from the Supreme Kai. Kakarot stacks Ultimate on top of perfected Super Saiyan Blue, and now the real battle begins. Jiren now begins to use full power, and him and Kakarot seem to be practically evenly matched. Kakarot then jumps up onto a pillar of debris, and he raises his arms, asking for his allies' energy, assuring he will heal them after, so they get it back. They all agree, including Paibara, who actually ends up giving Kakarot some of Jiren's energy. Jiren feels the energy slightly decrease, but he can't focus on that. He needs to focus on the fight ahead. Kakarot throws a Spirit Bomb at Jiren, and Jiren begins to repel it. Even though I said Kakarot and Jiren were practically evenly matched, Jiren did still have a slight edge in terms of power. However, a small part of that edge was given to the Spirit Bomb. Slowly, Jiren starts to push the Spirit Bomb back at Kakarot. It takes a while to do so, however, because of how similar they are in terms of power. But Jiren, with a sudden burst of power, finally pushes the Spirit Bomb back at Kakarot, hitting him, and then his energy can no longer be sensed. Kefla was finally defeated, but then they all looked back, and they saw Jiren standing there, and they couldn't sense Kakarot. The team is a mix of anger and sorrow. They all rush at Jiren, but even all of them together, it doesn't seem to be enough. Paibara begins taking more of Jiren's energy, but Jiren finally realises what Paibara was doing, and he smacks him out of the arena. Paikon and Bargito begin to distract Jiren, as Raditz, Vegeta, Nappa, and the Namekian Saviour all power up beam attacks. Jiren eventually knocks both Bargito and Paikon out of the arena, but he's instantly hit by the combined beam attack from the final Universe 7 fighters afterwards. Well, when I say all of the fighters from Universe 7 remaining, I mean apart from one. Broly was watching as Kakarot was engulfed by the Spirit Bomb, and is now watching as his new friends are being beaten down. His rage begins to come to the surface, and with a roar of pure agony, he transforms into a Super Saiyan. Not his green hair Super Saiyan, but just a regular one. Jiren smacks the Saiyans and the Namekian Saviour off of him. He then turns around and he sees an enraged Super Saiyan Broly rushing at him, and they begin to fight. Jiren is surprised at the power of Broly, as he is indeed strong. However, Jiren still does currently have the edge in power, but he does realise that Broly's power is rapidly increasing, so he needs to end this fight fast, before Broly overpowers him. Jiren lands a gut punch on Broly, and he then lands an overhead kick, slamming him into the ground. Jiren is ready to attack Broly once again, but then a huge white beam of light appears where Kakarot supposedly died. Jiren is distracted by this, giving Broly the opportunity to attack, and while Broly attacks Jiren, Kakarot emerges from the white light with a strange purple aura surrounding him, and his eyes are a piercing silver colour. He used a clove beam to repair his Supreme Kai-Gi, and he even heals himself, giving him a substantial Zenkai. As Jiren regains the upper hand against Broly, Kakarot flies in and lands a kick on Jiren's face, sending him flying into debris. Jiren rushes back, but now he is facing an Ultra Instinct Omen Kakarot and Broly at the same time. Jiren is getting immensely overwhelmed, and he eventually is pushed into breaking his own limits, and he begins to push back. Kakarot can still dodge most of the attacks, but Broly can't even compete anymore, and he eventually gets sent flying, nearly out of the arena, but Kakarot quickly paralyzes him before he does, and after he unparalyzes Broly, Broly falls into the ground, still inside of the arena, but knocked out. The battle between Kakarot and Jiren rages on, and it is practically the same as the Mastered Ultra Instinct vs Limit Breaker Jiren fight in canon. Apart from this time, Kakarot hasn't yet ran out of stamina. Kakarot powers up a Supreme Gallic Gun, and Jiren powers up a beam attack of his own. The two beams clash, and Kakarot's beam seems to be overcoming Jiren's at first, but Kakarot is running low on stamina, and Jiren's beam begins to overpower Kakarot's. He thinks he's going to lose, but then Vegeta, Nappa, Raditz, the Namekian Saviour, and Broly all stand beside Kakarot, and they shoot their own respective beam attacks. All these fighters were nearly sent out of the arena by Jiren earlier, but they barely stayed in. And with their combined Universe 7 beam attack, they overpower Jiren's attack, and they send Jiren flying out of the arena. Kakarot drops out of Ultra Instinct and is completely exhausted. He thanks the others for their help, as he couldn't have done it without them. Kakarot is crowned the MVP, and since Supreme Kais are all about creating, they don't want the other universes destroyed. So, Kakarot wishes for all the other universes to be restored. And now, having Ultra Instinct as his new goal to achieve and master, they head back to Universe 7. Bardock and King Vegeta begin training on Beerus World along with all the other Saiyans now, including Broly. Broly hasn't yet unlocked a God form, however, he still does have God Ki, which that alone boosts his regular power. Beerus would know that Boo was dead, meaning they can't get the Grand Kai to help them, so he then goes to Kakarot and the other Saiyans to help. They all agree to this, and the most interested in this is Kakarot. He will finally be able to test his new ability. They all head to Namek and they encounter Moro. Kakarot decides to let the others fight first, so Vegeta rushes at Moro and begins to fight him. Vegeta has a slight advantage at the beginning, however Moro does end up taking his energy, and that lowers Vegeta's power along with increasing his own. The other Saiyans decide to step in, so Nappa and Raditz attack Moro, while Bardock and King Vegeta fuse back into Super Saiyan God Bargito. They all rush at Moro, and like his battle against Vegeta, they do start with the upper hand, but he yet again absorbs their energy, regaining his youth, and he begins to beat them down. Kakarot has seen enough, and he tells the others to step aside. He will handle Moro himself. Kakarot transformed into perfected Super Saiyan Blue, and he rushes at Moro. Moro tries to steal Kakarot's energy. However, Kakarot uses his own magic he learnt from the Supreme Kai to counteract this and negate Moro's own magic. Moro is currently a bit weaker than Kakarot, but he begins to steal Broly's energy, who is sitting on the sidelines and watching the battle. Moro does begin to overpower Kakarot, but not by a big amount, so the fight is still pretty evenly matched, and since Kakarot negates Moro's magic, it prevents Moro from landing a fatal blow. Kakarot backs away, and then he could just stack Ultimate on top of perfected Super Saiyan Blue and easily wipe out Moro. However, Kakarot decides to test the fruits of his training. Ever since the Tournament of Power, Kakarot has been training with the only goal of achieving Ultra Instinct once again. Because of his completely different mindset to canon, and his mental state, he is able to achieve this while training with Whis. But he isn't just able to achieve Ultra Instinct Omen. He was also able to achieve Autonomous Ultra Instinct, or Mastered Ultra Instinct in other words. Kakarot is coated in a magnificent aura and his hair turns white, along with his eyes turning silver. Moro is terrified and begins to try attack Kakarot, but Kakarot dodges every single attack while staying completely calm and focused. Moro yet again tries to steal Kakarot's energy, but Kakarot's body now instinctively uses magic to negate Moro's own. Moro is infuriated as he can't even land a single blow. Moro even gets so desperate as to where he tries to pull a freezer and blow up Namek. However, Kakarot stops this with ease. Kakarot eventually decides to fight back, so he lands a gut punch on Moro, blowing the wind out of him, and he then kicks Moro into the sky, Kai-Kaiing above him and then slamming him into the ground. Kakarot then appears in front of Moro and he throws him above him, and he then powers up a Supreme Gallic gun and he fires it at Moro, completely erasing him. Kakarot then heals everyone and they thank him. Kakarot teleports them all back to Beerus World, but after that, Kakarot Kai-Kai's back to Supreme Kai. Supreme Kai greets Kakarot and he says that it is time. Kakarot agrees, and Beerus then appears with Whis. Beerus and Supreme Kai both put a hand on Kakarot's shoulders, and they now promote Kakarot from an apprentice Kai to the new Supreme Kai. Kakarot's life is now linked with Lord Beerus. He now has eternal youth, and if Beerus dies, then so will he. Shin can still remain in the world of the Kais, like Elder Kai, and he decides to do so. Kakarot shakes Beerus' hand, and he says he's looking forward to increasing their universe's mortal level alongside him. He also says he will return to Beerus World soon, to learn all of Beerus' techniques, including the Hakai. Beerus nods, and he goes back to his world with Whis. Kakarot then looks to Shin and Elder Kai, and he tells them that he needs to finish learning the rest of their techniques as well, including the Elder Kai's ability to unlock people's potential, as that could increase their universe's mortal level immensely.